Hey guys, so how is everything with you today? Fine? So it's me again, David, trying to speak in English with you all today because I'll try to set you guys in the original language. Like it's not my mother tongue, English, it's not my mother language, but I'm gonna talk about a very famous American author that he wrote many books, and especially books that became a very huge success, especially nowadays. Like it's an author not from the past, because he's still alive and he's still writing. I want to talk about Chuck Palahniuk, because Chuck Palahniuk it's an author from Washington. I think he was born in Pasco, Washington. And Palahniuk, he wrote many books that became a very huge success, like Fight Club. It's one of his most important books. But today I will talk about another book. It's not so famous as Fight Club, but I think it's in the same style, because it's always criticizing the society. It's always making joke with issues that our human nature has. Like for example, when you are very depressed or depressive, when you have something that's hurting you, but hurting your feelings, hurting your soul. And when it's hurting your soul, the best way in Palahniuk's view is when you can try to put this put this out, when you can speak out what is hurting you and making damage with you or in you. And I think literature is something that it's a resource that he uses for that. So Fight Club is his most important book and became a movie. I have the DVD here. Fight Club, the movie is with Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, and it's a movie by David Fincher. Always, not always, but usually the book is more complete, or it's better than the movie. I think most part of the time when I read a book and then when I watch the movie based on this book, I think that the book is better. But in this case, it's a very rare case, because in this case I think the book is so good as the movie. And the movie they made, it's a Hollywood movie, it's a cult movie. I consider a cult movie, but it's a popular cult. It's not like a underground movie. But I believe that they made a very good movie, and very faithful. It's very faithful with the original book, with the original story, and tells a story about a guy that he's depressed. He doesn't want to continue living his routine, and he can't support the consume society that we live. And he met a guy in the airplane. And airplane is something that always appears in Chuck Palahniuk books. I'm gonna talk about Survivor. It's another book that's the book is placed on the airplane, on an airplane. And this guy, he met a very unusual guy in the airplane. That's Tyler Durden. Tyler Durden is Brad Pitt, and they, in a part of the book, they met each other, and they created a fight club. It's an underground fight club where people can go there to fight each other and to unload all the frustration, all the the load, all the heavy load in their back that they carry, because we live in a consumer society, we live in a hypocrite society, we live with all these problems. And the movie shows like the bad guys, like what the morality call bad guys, as the heroes, and that's something really nice with this book. In a part of the book, he used to go to that help groups like suicide groups and alcoholic groups, because he wanted to hear stories from people that they really had problems and to feel better. So we live in a very bad society that you have to go to the extreme cases of depression to feel better and to realize that your life is not so bad as you imagine. So it's very unusual. I like this book. I'm not gonna talk what happens in the end of the book. Something really curious about this book is that in China, the Chinese government, they changed the end of the movie, not the book, the end of the movie, because they didn't want to produce a feeling of rebellion, of rebels in the Chinese population. Because if you see that the bad guys are the not the examples, but against the examples, the other examples, the bad examples, the bad apples, what they call. If you see the bad apples or the bad example succeeding, you can influence people to do the same. So it's very curious what happened when you have a dictatorship, when you have a dictator country controlling everything, even controlling the end of a piece of art, because this book for me, it's a piece of art. So Palahniuk has another book that the name is Haunted. Haunted, it's a book with lots of chronics. He tells the story of different people that in a part of the book all the stories will encounter, will encounter like the waters of a river, and then you will see very curious things like and curious characters dealing each other with different situations. It's very nice. It's not as good in my opinion as Fight Club, his main book, but I think it's really nice. He has other books too, but I'm gonna talk today about Survivor. It's Palahniuk book, Survivor. It's a very nice book. A friend of mine, she gave me when she was living in the United States. She mailed over the mail, over the post office, and I received it here in Brazil, so I thank her, because at that time when I gained this gift, when she gave me this gift, this book Survivor, we didn't have here in Brazil. But now we have translated in Portuguese, and it's very popular too. But when I read for the first time, I didn't read complete the whole book. But now a few months ago, or few weeks ago, I read the whole book, and I decided to make this video in English because I want to place in the mother tongue, as I told you, the book. I have both of the books I have in English, but I want to see if I can buy at least the Fight Club in Portuguese, because I want to see how they use some words, how they use some collocations, what we can say in my language, in my mother tongue. So Survivor, it's placed on an airplane. Airplanes is always showing in Palahniuk's books. Tells a story about a guy who hijacked an airplane, and he wants to kill himself, but he doesn't want to kill the passengers because he's not a murderer, he's just a suicide guy. But he wants to tell his story to everyone, he can write a book and publish a book or make a movie as normal people does, but or normal people do, or normal people does. But in this case, he wants to record his story in the black box of the airplane. In Fight Club, they have a scene that the main character, he imagined a plane crash, and with everybody dying, and they have this scene on the movie. And another thing that related to airplane or aviation is when he puts the instruction of a plane crash for the passengers, saying that oxygen makes you high. So he has a theory, and they have the characters. They have lots of conspiracy theories. He has a theory that the oxygen make you high because make you calm, to accept your death when the plane is crashing. And in this book, he hijacks an airplane, and he starts to tell his story, to record in the black box. In reality, the black box is orange. Everybody knows that. And you can see that Palahniuk, he researched a lot to write this book, because he says language of aviation. You can see in this book that he knows about aviation. He starts describing the fuselage, describing how to evacuate an airplane, because they want to put in a boat, I guess, because they are flying over the ocean, to put in a boat the passengers. He writes about the Venturi. The Venturi is that part of the airplane that helps the pressure. When the plane is depressurized, I think the word is that depressurized is the problem. And the Venturi, they have to check all the time this part of Venturi before they take off. And what else? And he wants to save the life of the pilot, so he gave to the pilot a parachute. But before the pilot jumps from the airplane with the parachute, he's giving him instructions to tell his story. And when the gas is over, when the fuel of the airplane is over, he will die with the plane crash. They are flying over the Pacific Ocean in a place near Australia, I guess. And he starts saying that the APU, a part of the airplane, power units, something power unit of the airplane. When this power unit is over, all the lights will turn off, the air conditioner will turn off, and he will start a plane crash. And he starts saying about Isaac Newton's gravity theory, and he says that Newton is right, and so you can see that Chuck Palahniuk, he knows about physics, and or at least the laws of the physics, and a lot of aviation language, and he researched it to write this book. And this guy starts telling his story. He's a guy that works in a job, a very low class job, a part-time job, but he has another, not profession but activity, that he helps people that is depressed, trying to commit suicide. They call him asking for help. In a part of the book, they call him asking for help because of an error. They put his phone number on a newspaper, and with the ad saying, if you need for help, call this number, and we will help you. We're gonna give you support, all these kind of things. But he's not a guy that actually works or was hired to work with that. But he takes advantage of this situation to listen to their stories and he's a very sadistic guy in this case, because he tells in the book that he elects who is gonna live and who is gonna die, because he says that it's like a game for him. People are desperate, calling for help, for support, and instead of him helping the people, he starts saying, "Oh, this guy has a very weird voice. This girl has a very uncommon voice. So I'm gonna incentive her to commit suicide." And there's a part of the book that says that a guy with a shotgun pointing to this cheek. I guess I'm not sure if it's his cheek or his forehead. He wants to commit suicide. He wants to shoot his head. And he says that I want to contribute to this guy to commit suicide, to kill himself. And he says that he wake up to the reality when he sees in the obituarium in the newspaper that the guy really committed suicide, because he has incentive this guy to commit suicide, and he doesn't have remorse. So it's all the characters of Palahniuk, they have conducts that the common sense and the morality will condemn these conducts of these characters. And he says that I remember that he went to have a job in McDonald's because he wants to meet girls and different girls, because with this policy of diversity in schools and jobs and everything, he can meet girls from different phenotypes, from different origins. And in his opinion, to work in McDonald's, they made lots of exams, health exams. So he thinks that the girls from McDonald's, working in McDonald's, they are healthier because they made exams like hepatitis, salmonella, these kind of things, and they are healthier than a normal or regular girl that he eventually can meet on the street. So it's I'm not gonna say that it's a bad guy, but it's a very rotten guy. We call it here in Portuguese, you are rotten. So it's a very rotten guy that, I don't know, he has a bad conduct. I remember that when I was working in Myrtle Beach in United States, in the East Coast, they used to say that I worked in a resort, in a hotel, and they used to say that we must have a positive attitude. We should smile. We should be kind. We should be this kind of thing. And this guy is totally the opposite. He's a guy that is complaining a lot. He doesn't believe in the society, and he doesn't believe also in the human being. The main character's name is Tyler Branson, and he belongs to a secret society. It's not like a religion, but it's kind of like a secret society. That this, I think, is fictional. It's fictional, but is inspired in real societies. That this secret society says to their members to commit suicide. That's why he calls survivor, because he is the guys that didn't commit suicide and survive. They are considered survivors, but in a part of their lives, in a certain moment of their lives, they have to commit suicide. And hijacking an airplane, it was the way to commit suicide that the main character decided. This book is very curious because when you read the pages backward, because you start from the last page to the first page, because it's when he's telling his story like from the end to the beginning. So that's why it's another resource that Palahniuk uses to show the character's story. And he says lots of things about how we make like gods our idols and fake idols of the consume industry of the capitalism, and not only capitalism but consumism. This book is very similar to Fight Club because it's written like in the same way and makes kind of like almost the same critic of the society. It's a nice book if you want to go to your analysis with your therapist and to discuss with your therapist, because they show all the bad things of the society, in my opinion. Another curious thing about this book is that this book was released in 1999, I guess, the year that the Fight Club became a movie. The Fight Club movie was released as well. Fight Club has a continuation, is Fight Club 2, but Fight Club 2 is a comic book. It's a comic book. And the book says about a guy that hijacks an airplane. This book was from 1999, 2 years before the September 11, and they say that they bought the rights from the book to become a movie. They wanted to shot a movie based on this book as well. But because of the September 11, they didn't do that, because it's a very delicate theme or subject for the United States still nowadays. If you show, for example, the situation of an airplane being hijacked, and I think that it's complicated to put your finger in a hurt like that. To deal with this subject, especially in a world with lots of terrorism, and that we must be careful, especially to don't incentivize people to commit these brutal and bad things that we saw in the beginning of the 2000 year or 2000 decade. So that's it. That's what I think about Chuck Palahniuk books, and especially Survivor. Survivor will say lots of things about the fake celebrities that we consider like examples for us, and you have like people with good bodies showing them as an example of virtue, of kindness, of standards to be followed, that he will criticize that, because and especially something that we have nowadays that is very strong is the political correctness. The political correctness is something that is becoming so strong, so growing so fast, that is becoming like a kind of totalitarianism. Totalitarianism in the past, if you see Nazism or even communism, they had like a very strong and strict moral rules that must be followed for every citizen, for everybody. And in this book, he says that the political correctness, especially the standards that society show us, that we consume, trying to afford the situations or standards that society is producing, is kind of like a totalitarianism as well. So that's my opinion about this book. I highly recommend this book. I think it's one of the best books to understand the current days that we live in the world. And that's it, guys. So if you liked this presentation, please subscribe in my channel. I always bring here comments about books. Today I'm talking in English, but I also make some videos in Spanish and Portuguese as well, especially when I think that I can express better in my mother tongue, in Portuguese, because English, I'm still practicing English, and I hope that you guys can understand this presentation, okay? Thank you very much. See you.